So for those of you listening, I met Kira at a different event similar to this, the Seattle Film Summit, which is
Mhm.
also where I met Stimson, who's the guy who made Tim Travers, and he's also on episode 10 of this podcast. Um, and that's why I keep going to stuff like this, because every once in a while you meet like one of the 10 clients you need to have your entire career functioning for the rest of it.
Mhm.
And that's how I got there, which is why I keep coming. And I'm really excited to see how how the uh, Albuquerque Film and Music Experience differs from the Seattle Film Summit, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
these same sort of regional conventions that are popping
Mhm.
up, and tiny changes in culture, or sometimes not so tiny changes in culture, can dramatically change the level of uh the level of connections that are made at a event
Mhm.
such as this. So
Mhm.
that was kind of a lot of background to say. Um, how do you feel about these sorts of events in building regional film communities?
Oh, they're absolutely necessary. They really are. I think these events bring people together. And look, you're always fighting for attendance,
Mhm.
from certain demographics or certain target audiences.
Mhm.
But those that do come to the events, and we've averaged about 7,000 people per year since inception, which is pretty good for a
Yeah.
week-long
Mhm.
festival. And online, the online aspect of it really boosted our numbers. But those that do attend, come from the region. So throughout the state of New Mexico, some
Mhm.
from Arizona, Texas, Colorado, come down from Colorado, Utah. I think it's really important to have a regional impact.
Mhm.
And I think one of our biggest focuses through our nonprofit AFME Foundation is education and students.
Mhm.
So this year especially, we've really worked out a system where students are able to attend the festival for free. So,
Nice.
University of New Mexico, Central New Mexico Community College, all the high schools that have film, music, and arts programs, there's going to be a lot of students at the festival. And what we have found in the past is those students that attend, they gain so much knowledge and
Mhm.
networking and introductions by our team to the right people based on what they're there for.
Mhm.
Nathan East, for instance, is one of our advisory board members, and he's one of the most recorded musicians in the history of music. He takes time to take people's phone calls who he met at the festival, including students that are, learning their craft in music. And
Mhm.
it's just a really special thing. That's, another example out of hundreds of how we're making an impact. And so it's not just regional. I think we make a
Mhm.
national impact, where
Mhm.
we have people coming in to volunteer from other states who want to meet people at the festival and the like. And
Mhm.
it's just been a really honoring thing. My worst days at the festival are always the closing day,
Mhm.
just to see how much success there was and bringing people together and all this love that people have for the new relationships or even old ones that they
Mhm.
have at the festival.
Mhm.
It brings a lot of tears to people's eyes. I'll never forget one of our volunteers in 2015 came up to me at the end and was just in tears. And I thought, like a relative had died. And I was
Mhm.
like, God, what is the matter? And she just gave me this huge hug. She's like, I can't believe it's over. It went by too quick. This is one of the most special events that I've ever attended, and people won't understand it until they actually attend. And, so to me, it's a really special thing.
So I want to add to that because, Ben, yes, you and I met in Seattle, and I tend to be an introvert. And I think a lot of creatives tend to be that way. For me to put myself out there to say, hey, I need help, I don't know what I need to know to get to the next step. Um, when I first met you, I was really encouraged and really grateful that you sat down with me and talked. We talked a lot. and you were so accessible, you were so giving of your wisdom. I thought, okay, I can do this. These industry leaders are not out of my reach. I can ask them questions, and they're very giving of that. So I really appreciated you and your time when we were able to meet in Seattle. So when I came to New Mexico and I met Ivan, he had the same aura about him, right? If you have questions, we can connect you with people that could possibly give you answers. If you don't know what the question is, we'll give you that too. And I tease Ivan a lot about when we try to book or program our center stage conversations. Yes, we do take the community into consideration of what the community may want, but secretly, it's what I really want. I'm this little part of the community that's wanting to learn a lot. I went to the University of New Mexico. I was in theater, but I wanted to go into film. The film department wasn't as robust as it is now. So, if you don't have that formal education, you get it through the people that you meet, the people that you choose to work with. And so again, through you, Ben, through Ivan, we create these platforms where other people can get that education. So, because there is that gap, right? You don't have that, you can't learn everything from the whiteboard, right? You have to get yourself out there. You have to get yourself on the sets. You have to make mistakes. You have to be curious to know what to do next. And frankly, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of creatives don't know how to do that. So they think they do. We learned that last year when we had the marketing panel with Karen Criswell. There was a very important point that you have to start marketing your film when you start writing your film.
Yes.
I didn't know that. And that seems perfectly logical. So that's one thing I'm really proud of AFMX is that we strive to bring people, authentic industry leaders like yourself, like Christopher Lockhart, to the festival so that we can get that one-on-one education, which I think a lot of filmmakers here in New Mexico really want.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also, you're coming, Christopher Lockhart. There's also people like Michael Helfand, who's coming to give a center stage conversation on entertainment law. Michael is a partner in Loeb and Loeb, which is like the biggest law firm out in LA.
Yeah.
And if people recognize his name, he was also the president COO of Marvel Studios when they started the whole MCU. So he's going to probably talk about, what went into starting.
I might actually show up for that panel. Just
please.
That's not. I don't do that a ton, but that one sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And that's a perfect example of what we're trying to do, right, Ivan? It's that, maybe entertainment law isn't as sexy as producing your first feature film, but it's just as necessary. You need to know all the, getting into the ranks of the industry, every filmmaker will say, before you become that director, you have to become that PA, which fortunately we have Josh Friedman, who will be coming for a center stage conversation that will help connect those dots for people. So
what was the name of that one?
From PA to DGA.
Yeah.
And that's a book he actually wrote. So
that's a fantastic name or event name or book name.
He's a great speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have a lot of the local union members coming to that one, and filmmakers coming to all the different center stage conversations, even musicians, that want to know about distribution and sales of their stuff. And yeah, it's really going to be an honoring year this year with a great educational platform.
That sounds great. I think I kind of rag on film school, mostly in jest, mostly. In a lot of cases, mainly because they don't teach anywhere near enough of the business that is actually what will probably be the biggest key differentiator from a successful filmmaker and a filmmaker who just makes shorts their entire career. If that's what you want to do, great, but that's not a path to making a sustainable company.
That one direction you're going in with this, Ben, is most creatives love the creative process, but don't know the business end of things.
Right.
And what we've been really successful with since inception of the festival, and I think every other festival, kind of offers this or should, is professionals in the industry who know the business end of things in their specific field, and they bring that and start that conversation with people. I mean, I've seen filmmakers like this young actor filmmaker Jamie Jung, who attends every center stage conversation at the festival each year, and he takes notes and he introduces himself to the Ben Yennies of the world and keeps in contact when he has a question, and he's really learning that business side of things, which it's either filmmakers should learn the business end, or they bring the right team together of people in the production process and pre-production who know the business side of things. So it's a really important thing that we're trying to create or have created. And I'm the first person to recognize talent on both ends and try and bring people together. I've been a connector my entire life and career, and that's what I do with the festival. I'm a concierge.
But the other part of that too, sorry to interrupt, Ben, but is yes, we bring people together that could teach that aspect, but we also encourage people to use the talents that they have. So for example, I was talking to our intern the other day, and we were talking about the business end of things. And she asked me, how did you get to know the business end? Well, my family grew up, I was raised in a family with small businesses. I had my own small business. I was business manager for a couple of companies. And during that time when I was trying to find myself, I was learning these skills, right? I have a degree in theater, I did stage managing, all of these different kind of skills. And even though I wasn't a professional stage manager, all those skills come together. And I didn't have that aha moment until I produced my first documentary. From theater, from the business aspect, from communication to everything that I've learned all those years came together in that one moment. And I went, that's okay. It wasn't time wasted. So that's another thing we try and do is encourage people that you're not learning a new skill. You're developing the talents that you already have. And so we sponsor events with Albuquerque Film and Media Incubator, with UNM, with CNM, to encourage as well as teach.
So yeah, no, that's fantastic. And what I was trying to say earlier before I got derailed on my own thought bridge was I'm not sure film schools are all that suited to truly be able to teach this particularly wonky business. And I think that events like AFMX or the Seattle Film Summit or other organizations and regional events that bring people out who like actually still work in the industry on their 9-to-5s and still actively practice their trade in the field. I think that's really the only way you can get accurate, up-to-date information, because the few classes I took in film school were like swearing up and down the standard license fee for pretty much any subscription video on demand platform was a minimum of $500,000, which, my God, I wish that were true. That would make my life so much easier, but it's just not accurate. And I think it's important that places like this exist in order to help fill that gap that, even though I do make fun of film school for not teaching, I kind of also understand it, because you can't get practitioners in the field to teach a job, to teach a full course. You just can't.